So we have our controller and our database set up now. Now let's look at building out the UI in this video. So over in the root of the project, I'm coming down under resources and views. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the dashboard.blade.php file. I'm going to create a new folder inside of views, and I'm going to call this documents. And this is just to keep all the view files for anything to do with documents, so they're all in one place. And then I'm just going to paste that dashboard in there. I'm going to rename it to index.blade.php. And then at the top here, just get rid of this. And I'm just going to say documents. And then let's just change this to documents here for now, just so we can check that this is working. Now let's open up our controller. So under app, HTTP, controllers, let's open up the document controller. Now let's scroll down to our index method here. And let's return a view. And we want to return the documents.index view that we just created then. And finally, let's add a link to our navigation so we can actually navigate to this page. So under your resources and views again, you have a folder called layouts and navigation.blade.php. So let's just scroll down a bit here and we can see a link here to our dashboard. So what I'm going to do is just copy this down and then let's get rid of that dashboard text there and let's say documents. So now we want the root to go to documents.index, and then we can also change the root is here. So let's just copy this and paste that in. So this is just letting it know that this link is active if it's currently on the root of documents.index. This way you can apply different styling to the current active page. And that's navigation for our mobile interface sorted. Let's just repeat what we've done here for the desktop version. So let's just scroll up a bit here. And you can see here, we're just going to copy this again. And then let's just make the same changes. So let's get rid of that text and we're going to call this documents. And this is going to route to documents.index. And then let's just copy that again. And then change the root is to documents.index. Let's save on this and let's check it out in the browser. I'm just going to do a refresh on the dashboard page. And you see now we have our documents link. Let's just click this. And this takes us now to our documents page where we're going to put our documents in here. Okay, so let's jump back over to our documents view and let's create a button to link to our upload page. So back over in our index.blade.php file, let's get rid of this documents here text that we put in. So now inside of here, let's create a link to our upload page. So we can do a href and we're going to send this over to a root. So we can use the root helper here. I'm going to send this over to documents create. Let's just give this some text of upload. Now let's just check that this works. So over in the browser, let's click the upload. You can see there it takes us to the documents create page. But I want to style this more like a button. So let's change this text to look like a button. So if we open up our project and come under resources, views and components and open up button.blade.php, you can see in here the button has a number of classes applied to it. And this is the button that's used throughout Laravel Breeze for things like login and register. So if we just copy all these classes and put them in, then our link will then look like the button. There's quite a few of them here, so let's just grab them all. I'm going to copy them. And then on the A tag here, let's open up our class and paste those in. Now you could make a dedicated link component for this, which would make sense if you're going to be reusing this button multiple places in your application. But this is the only place I'm going to be using it for this series. So I'm just going to leave the classes in here. Let's refresh here. And we see we now have a upload link that looks like a button. We click it, it still behaves in the same way. Okay, so now let's build up our table UI. So I'm going to put this in a separate div underneath from the Tailwind UI website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this div here and paste this down here and then obviously just close that off. And then let's add a margin top, so MT8. So now this sits below the bar with the upload button inside of it. And then inside of here, we're going to build up our table. But to save building up an entire table design using Tailwind CSS, I'm going to quickly copy one from the Tailwind UI library. So head over to tailwindui.com and then you can explore the preview here. And then inside of here, they have many components which they're made up that you can just simply copy and paste to give you a building block. In this series, I'm only going to be using the free ones, so you don't need to purchase this. But if you like the look of some of these and you want to purchase this, then feel free. So I'm just going to scroll down here and I'm going to scroll down to lists, and then we have tables in here. Let's just open this. You can see here now this top one is one of the free components. And we're just going to look at the code here. And I'm just going to grab this, and over in the project inside of this div we copied down, I'm just going to paste this in here. Now let's take a look at this in the browser. And you can see now we have our table which sits underneath this top bar that we made earlier. So now let's modify this table to fit in with our application. So I'm going to have 3 columns on the table, so I can just delete these bottom 2 here. And then the first column is going to be called documents. The next column is going to be called user, which is the user the document belongs to. And then the third column is going to be for the actions. So I'm just going to leave that column blank. You can actually put actions in there if you want. I'll leave that up to you. I'm just going to leave it blank. And then inside the first column, we can get rid of everything inside of this. And then let's just place some holding text in here. And I'm going to copy this style from down here. So actually, I'm just going to copy this div and copy this up. And then let's change this to document name. Now, obviously, when we're going to be looping over results from the database, this is going to be dynamically added in. But just for now, while we're building the UI, let's just hard code that in. And then in the next table cell, let's just get rid of this darker text here. And then in here, we're going to say user's name. And then we can delete the next 2 as we're only having 3 here. Now, in the bottom one, now this is where we're going to build in our action buttons. And these buttons are going to be for download and delete. So let's get rid of this link for now. And let's create out our download button. So much like we did with our upload button up here, I'm just going to grab this as a starter. I'll bring this down and paste it in here. Now let's change the text on this to download. Now we don't actually have a route yet for the download method, but we'll create that when we actually come to the point of firing in the download method. But for now, let's just leave this route going to the create, and we'll update that once we actually create the route for this. Now let's change the styling of this because we don't want it to be the same as the upload button. Let's just scroll along here and you see where we got the background of grey 800. Let's change this to a background of green 500. Now let's have a look how this looks in the browser. And you can see here now this is where the document name is going to go, the user who has created it, and then our download button. Let's also add our delete button here. So what I'm going to do is just copy this link down as a starter. And instead of download, let's create this as delete. And let's change the color from green to red, as that makes more sense for a delete button. Now let's check this out. And we can see now we have our download and delete buttons. I'm also going to add a little icon in here just to make the styling look a little bit better. And for this, I'm going to be using hero icons, so you can get them over at heroicons.com. So in the top here, I'm just going to search for download. You can see here, there's a nice little download icon. So I'm just going to copy the SVG for this. And then on the download button, after the download text, I'm just going to paste this in. And then inside of here, let's give this a class. So we can set a height and a width and a color. So we can say, we'll give this a height of 4. We'll give it a width of 4. And we'll give this a text of -white. Now let's just quickly check this in the browser. As you see here, this has put our little icon in there. So let's now just do the same for delete. So back over in hero icons, I'm just going to search for delete and I'm going to go with the trash, but obviously feel free to use any of these that you want. So I'm just going to copy the SVG here. And after the delete text, let's paste this in. And then let's give this a class. And I'm going to give this a class of height 4, width 4, and then a text of white. Let's take a look in the browser. And there you can see we now also have a delete button and a download button, although they don't actually link to the delete and download methods at the moment, but we'll wire them up once we build that functionality. So that's the UI pretty much complete for our documents. Now in the next video, let's look at creating our upload page and also how we're going to handle the upload in our controller method. If you are enjoying this series, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get updates as and when future videos are released on this series. Also, check out the other series on my channel. I have a lot of Laravel related content on there. And remember, this course does come with some extra premium content that is completely optional, and that is over on Udemy, and I'll pop a link in the description with a 60% discount code for the first 100 signups, and you can watch the entire series straight away without any adverts.